Please welcome director Helen Cross and actor Michael Totten.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I guess I could say director and co-writer.
Yeah, adapted.
Adapted. So as always, you can tweet your questions to #SBFF. They are here to answer your questions. You're here to ask them. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes, sir, right there. So the question is, why did you choose those particular scenes from those particular plays?
Yeah, good question. I have a background of Shakespeare, so I've directed theatre for many years, and I chose, when I had the idea to use like a house party, I like to make Shakespeare accessible to everyone, try and do that anyway. And I chose scenes that I like and that I thought would work in that environment, and scenes from Shakespeare plays that I've also worked on, so I knew them really well. That was really the reason behind it.
Some more questions? Yes, sir. Is this kind of a pilot for a potential feature length? So the question is do you have in mind making this a longer film?
Not particularly in this format, but I would love to explore. I know there have obviously been people that have made successful Shakespeare plays into films, but I'd love to have a go at that, maybe a full. I think it would be very difficult to kind of make something like this with so many different Shakespeare plays into a feature, but who knows, maybe.
More questions? Yes, sir.
You don't have to. I mean, Shakespeare obviously is, if you haven't studied it, it's quite difficult to understand the dialogue. Oh, okay. Well, that may be the way it comes out on the big screen. I don't know about that. But the music for me is very important. So I've always used a lot of music in my Shakespeare's because I think it also helps for a younger audience, and younger audiences don't always get the opportunity to be around a lot of Shakespeare anymore, I don't think. So I think using, I wanted the idea of a house party and using the music to kind of draw those people in that maybe wouldn't necessarily watch Shakespeare. So yeah.
I noticed that you had at one point 3 female characters around a barbecue, which immediately made me think of the Scottish play.
Well done, yeah. I was wondering if anyone would spot that, yes.
And did you have other scenes like that? Did you have other things going on in the background to pick
We
up
had
on?
a few things. We had the skull from Hamlet as well. Yeah, and a few other little bits, but yeah, the witches, the 3 witches, yes, that was meant to be in there. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Who wrote the music?
So actually what I did is I wanted to help some bands that haven't necessarily been out there or got a huge profile, or have a huge profile. So I actually contacted through mutual friends, bands that are just coming out. So Halfpenny Music is a band that did the first track that was through the main one, and then a gentleman called Shy Vincent wrote and sang the last track. Yeah, I just felt that they were tracks that really worked with the kind of theme I was going for.
Yes, way there in the back. Right, so the question is, which plays are we seeing in exact order, exact scene, and no, just...
Well, I should ask you guys that, really, shouldn't I? I should make you guess. No, I won't. I won't be that mean.
Make him answer. He's getting away with just standing up
Yeah,
there.
that's true, actually.
I'm
yeah,
fine.
you answer.
So obviously Romeo and Juliet, who are the sort of love interest throughout and finish it at the end. You've got Much Ado About Nothing, Benedict and Beatrice, the scene in between the cloth. Macbeth, who I played, and had the witches around the barbecue at the halfway through. And then also Midsummer Night's Dream, which was the scene around the sofa in the garden. Hence the sort of ethereal theme around that section of the piece.
And then I like the idea of the full circle, so coming back to Romeo and Juliet at the end as well.
Yes, yes, sir, right there. So the question is, how did you have a particular way we're supposed to understand the scene with Macbeth where he's clearly talking to the camera and seeing something that nobody else is seeing?
So I love to break the fourth wall. I think it's really interesting. I do it a lot in theatre, so I was like, why not do it in film as well? So basically, it's Banquo is the ghost in the play, the Scottish play, which I won't say here.
Macbeth.
Yeah. Yes, so it's that, but in a modern sense, you could. The idea was that potentially he could have taken something, so there could have been drugs involved, which would allow him then to see something at a modern day house party. That was kind of the route we were going, but we did kind of feel it was the ghost's story in a way, so that the ghost is almost going to visit Macbeth anyway, and I just said it, and then he kind of sees Romeo, Mercutio, and Benvolio and follows them in, and then the camera is the ghost, if you like, following everyone through, and that's why we did it in the one shot as well. There were no edits; it was literally one shot all the way through.
Were there any challenges to doing this in one shot, or was it just easy?
Just a few. Yeah, people did laugh at me when they said, okay, so for your first film, you're going to do one shot and have about 20 actors involved. 2 days to film, low budget, good luck. But yeah, we did it. There were lots of challenges. The biggest challenges, I think, were we had to choreograph everything down to a T. So it was really strict timing-wise, and it took a lot of rehearsals. So as I said, we had 2 days. So the first day was rehearsals mainly, and then the second day was the filming. And there were moments when you'd have people hiding behind doors as the camera passed to then make sure they came out at the right moment, or like under tables, or yeah, all over the place. There were people hiding.
But other things like it was filmed in a house, and there were a lot of lights and a lot of electricity going on. We only ended up with about 4 good takes of the film in its entirety, and that's due. There were a couple of takes where we had power cuts halfway through and would have to reset and go again because...
Which meant the cameraman wasn't very happy.
Yeah, the cameraman was not happy. So there were a lot of challenges, and especially for the actors, using takes allows you or gives you the opportunity to kind of try it again if you're not happy. And in the one shot, you've got to be focused, you've got to be ready, you've got to be able to do it and give what the director wants at the same time. So yeah, there were a number of...
And it was actually the very last take that we ended up using. So yeah.
So we have one final question. This is from Twitter. How well did the actors know their roles outside of this movie? Had they all played these roles before?
Some of them had, yes. In theatre, some of them had. I didn't have much time to put the film together, so I obviously used some actors that I already knew and that I had worked with on these roles before. It's very different doing it, adapting from theatre to film, so they did a really, really good job. You actually hadn't played that role before, had you?
No,
You were
I
one of the ones
haven't,
who
no.
hadn't. I think you did all right, so.
Thank you, Helen Cross, Michael Todd.
Thank you very much. Thank you.